Today is September 8th, 2021. 55 years of Star Trek. Happy birthday, Star Trek. Happy anniversary, Star Trek. Star Trek. Engage. Spock. We'll have to bring Mark's cards in here tomorrow and do a making of thingy behind the scenes about Mark's cards discussing the 55th anniversary. It'll be a day late, but it's always a dollar short. I have discussed a little bit of it on here, so I'll let him talk. Now, we're going to go on to do some actual opening scene test footage on Starship Chimera, the Great Tribble Hunt. Better known as Wunderkind behind the scenes. Okay, yeah. Strange Worlds begins immediately. And much for the crew of the Starship Chimera. Happy 55th birthday, Star Trek. And much to the crew of the Starship Chimera. Happy 55th birthday, Star Trek. Much to the crew of the Starship Chimera. Happy 55th birthday, Star Trek. Dun, 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 dun. I have not started to watch the podcast yet, but I decided to put out the teaser. It is hot up here. It's really hot up here. But I did manage to put the teaser in the can here. So, yeah, there's a Kal Kat directed episode. Other ones will be directed by the other cast from the Trans Tech. Mush, Cowpoke, Morton Roadkill, Marlo Faki, some others in there, Silly Kelly, the other 7 episodes. We have, the credits. We haven't worked out the credits or the music, but I'm sure the minimalistic composer Kitty Key will return and do the musical score just like the last one. And I'm sure this new series has a slightly different theme. It might sound different. Might be more strange, more bombastic, maybe. More comical, too, because the pilot is very much a David Gerald script idea. The Tribble Planet, the Tribble Queen, the Cyrano and Koath exchanging barbs, that kind of thing with the captain. That version, it was Kirk and Spock and McCoy, but in this version we have sort of our surrogate Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, our sort of surrogate characters. We have Crass, who's the sort of angry, snarky one. We have Dr. Tabby, who's sort of kind of similar, sarcastic, bedside manner. We have Tendi, who's visiting from Lower Decks, and it's not actually Nicole Wells, which is it's one of our people. It's not really her, but it's a Janeway, and she's and it's 20 years later, so she's to her. So in the story, so she's not the same person that you knew 20 years ago. There's numerous other characters and nods and things on this set. We have, okay, we have these guys over here. Well, we have Kiriyoshi O'Brien and Alexander Shenko. We have this is some of the other ones over here. We have Molly O'Brien, and we have a Talaxian. I don't know it's any lines, but he's a Talaxian. And that's Jeremy Astor. In the back, as a gag, we've got Kal Kat and Mark's Cards. And Mark's Cards is chatting up Meryl Paris, which would never happen. But it's funny, because sure, why not? We have Tendi, we have Crash, ooh, yeah. Honey, yeah, another one's in the Cedo promotion. Very typical of Next Generation. Our teaser, a lot of fun. They all gel well, if not like overly well together. They did such a good job. They were just, it just fell right back into it. Like, oh, this is just a little hat. So let's just, yeah. So it's like, we just want to do these things, these free fan films. As you can see, the set is, here's the little office thing. I think she only uses her office in the pilot. So we'll do all the other bridge scenes since the bridge is up, and then do the other scenes. We'll do the other bridge scenes, and then go back and do the rest. I think that's what we're gonna do. Here we have Tam and Kestra. They have been repainted, mainly the legs, because the paint was flaking off. Also, the call letters are on the ships. The Emmett Till is actually the Emmett Till A. It's not the Egina ship. It's the sequel. It's a flare one. Chimera is the Chimera A. Emmett Till. It's said on the Emmett Till that it is Tubman class. Because Emmett Till was the first martyr of the civil rights movement thing indirectly in Mississippi. And then that sparked it in the 50s. But actually, Harriet Tubman, 90 years earlier, was technically the beginning of that, like the end of the Civil War. So you could, yeah. So yeah, I like the idea of that working, if it's explained. And Ira Bear using that ship that was designed originally for the 8th season that never happened. But yeah, I'll turn it around. I do want to put Lower Decks on the thing. Tomorrow there's a new episode of Lower Decks. I also want to get Mark's Card's views on the thing when he comes over on the anniversary. So tomorrow we had to recast Picard and Crass because Mark's Cards is not available to do the filming of these episodes because that would just take too long. And yeah, it's got a cameo somewhere in there. But yeah, there were a few dialogue changes here and there, but pretty much the teaser is the same. Some of it flowed better with some lines being said by different characters than what's in the script. It works in the script fine, but it works better the way it was done here. As a visual story. When you put something, the director changes some things because sometimes it's just a little off. There was a Reddit thing on the Emmett Till. They were complaining about the ship thing, not understanding how the aliens would talk about it. I think it's fine. That'll work. Okay. Sort of, just so nobody runs into it. The What We Left Behind was a Deep Space Nine special. I've already gone over that a little bit elsewhere. The Deep Space Nine special, they made up a premise for a pilot for an 8th season. They basically messed with all the characters, even though it was the creators of the show, and kind of messed it up. They made Molly O'Brien a commander, which didn't make sense. They made Kiriyoshi some kind of angry officer, and it would be the other way around. They made Dax married to Bashir, which doesn't make any sense. They killed Nog in the opening scene on the Defiant, which really doesn't make any sense, because then how would he be famous later? Then Aaron Eisenberg, ironically, had actually died of kidney failure. He had issues with his kidneys all his life. The guy who played Nog. Even though before he died, he did say, "Why did they kill my character?" He get mad about that. It's funny. That story. But no, they didn't. In all other fan canon, no, Nog lives on beyond Eisenberg. He did some Star Trek, the online game, and he played an older version of himself in command of the Chimera class destroyer. And all of that. And I have talked to some of the people who did Star Trek Online. So Chimera is definitely, they were thinking us. because the Chimera fan film was around since the concept of the fan film started in 2006. So some of those people went on to start Star Trek Online and go on since there, and they figured Chimera is a Star Trek canon ship, right? No, it was a fan ship, but that's awesome. So, like many other fan ships, our ship is in there. Excalibur's in there too from their sister ship. So that's cool. So we have an Excalibur in there. Even though that one didn't take off, ours did. 13 years later, we finished it, and it came out in 2019, around the same time What Left Behind came out. A little earlier than that, actually. A little earlier than that, yeah. So What We Left Behind. And the Star Trek Destiny novels from 10 years before that. Those had the Aventine Dax, and the Chimera story was attempting to show us what it would be like just before the Aventine Dax. So it would be like Dax, his first officer on a ship, the Chimera. We set her up with Nick Locarno. It made perfect sense at the time. A redeemed Nick Locarno. This story takes place 16 years later. It's not 2388 anymore. It's now 2402. The events of Star Trek Picard Seasons 1 and 2 have happened at this point. And so we have the 1 and 2. Even though I don't know how Season 2 goes, don't ask. I don't know how it happened. It hasn't come out yet. And even if I did, I wouldn't give it away. But I don't. I know that it has something to do with the Chimera and the crew. But yes. Again, we didn't get paid. So the Emmett Till was a ship that was going to be named after Emmett Till, who, according to history, was a little boy, a black boy, who happened to have been killed and martyred in Mississippi, I think it was, and accused of a crime he didn't commit, and then killed. It was the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement, in a sense, the modern Civil Rights Movement from the 60s. So, no kitty. No. So, anyway, the modern Civil Rights Movement from the 60s, and they named the ship after this John Eaves ship. I wanted the fan ship not to quite look like that because, 20% different, 25% different, so that it didn't quite look like that, but it has some similarities. I'll go into the ships later, and all is said and done. The presence of different Chimera ships is known all over the net. 16 years later, there's a Chimera B, or Chimera A. They're going on a mission through space. Cat, and the cat. And so the ship was named after him until it freaked out a bunch of the alt-right people. Indirectly, it led to the alt-right people complaining about their Confederate statues being wrecked, so they went and wrecked the Emmett Till stuff down in Mississippi. Of course they did, because they're racist, stupid. But of course they did. To get even, it's like, you guys really, yeah, no, it doesn't help. I called this version of the ship. This is a Tubman class after Harriet Tubman, a Civil War person who hid the slaves in the Underground Railroad. They were escaping and stuff. Unlike the movie Tubman, which they kind of embellished and made kind of goofy and added romances and gunplay that wasn't really there, and made her a badass, sort of. I don't think she ran around doing that. It was more like she ran around in secret getting people out than it was, I'm a fighter and have fight, like literally like fighting, like a hunter. No, she wasn't a hunter. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, Emmett Till. So this ship is the Till A. It's named after the other one. We don't know what happened to the other one, the John Eaves one. and assuming the Chimera was lost in 2397. At some point, lost or decommissioned, presumably lost, and it could have been accidentally Mahoney's fault. That'd be funny, but yeah, I figure the other ships in the Tubman class, which is more appropriate, are other civil rights leaders. So there's a Harriet Tubman, the main class ship. There's a Martin Luther King. There's a ship. There's two versions of that one. The Martin Luther King is a battleship, and another one, a dreadnought. They're more like a dreadnought. They're a dreadnought. Yeah. So they have slipstream drive, and they're really powerful. And yeah, they have all kinds of nacelles and stuff. Ooh, yeah. I don't want to show off the ships, though. I don't want to ramble on for 20 more minutes and waste tape. I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much... Yeah, so we included civil rights people as ships. And it makes sense. Even though there was a Reddit thing about them saying, like, okay, this doesn't make sense, because how would you explain it to an alien, a martyr thing, and a civil rights thing, and how would you explain that to the alien? Well, you could explain it to the alien, because most of the aliens in Star Trek are reflections of people from an Earth culture. So what you would say to the alien is that they were a martyr or a great leader to a cause or whatnot, and on a planet that had issues. And unfortunately, yeah, that's enough to explain that. So I see no problem with that. That makes sense. It makes sense to the Klingons, certainly. They would know what that is. Be like, yes, warrior and Stobokor. The Vulcans would all, which is perfectly logical. The Cardassians probably wouldn't so much, because they're kind of fascist. They'd be all, no, we don't have any leaders like that. I don't idolize bad guys. Bajorans would understand it more than the other ones would, which are Bajorans, because they're modeled after several refugee groups of that time period. So yeah. Assuming that within Star Trek canon, one of these ships is the Gabriel Bell from Deep Space Nine. It's probably that character from that. He's probably mentioned there too. Deep Space Nine, who looked like Cisco. Because of the time travel in that episode. So, yeah. Q only appeared once on Deep Space Nine. Yeah, so what we left behind was kind of a mess, and I fixed it. So this 7-parter fixes it and says, like, oh, no. Ezra Dax is not married to Bashir. But there is a presence of Bashir on the set, because we have this guy. We have Kiriyoshi O'Brien, James Siddig. Allegedly. It's not really him. It's not the son of Bashir and Kira from the episode that they had to hide the fact that Kira and Bashir were one item and they had a kid. They got married. I should have mentioned that last time. They did get married. They were married. I don't know if they're still married, but probably they have a kid who's he'd be an adult. He'd be in his 30s. So here is Kiriyoshi O'Brien. Yeah, as a Bashir figure. So this basically hits the nail on the head, obviously, and says, like, oh yeah, there's a reason this guy looks just like Julian Bashir. Kiriyoshi actually is Bashir's kid with Kira. And it was never Keiko O'Brien's, but the Bryans raised him. It never was. Elsa, yeah. Also, I added a scene which is addressed later in the story when she talks to Paris. Dax mentions Tam and gender fluidity, and they refer to her as them, not he or she, just to be relevant to the whole gender fluid thing. I referenced that in there in the teaser. Like, yes, they're going to go. But it's not treated as a gimmick or a MacGuffin or something, and it doesn't come up much. But yeah, the Tamara Locarno, Dax's daughter, is apparently transgendered, and yeah, it goes by them. They sort of like Tal, and speaking of Tal, we can go into a little bit of that. Yeah, Tal. Yeah. Where is he? Okay, and yeah. There's what's his face? Where is that? cheeky bastard. There he is. So on Discovery Season 3, you notice there was a Kal. It was an alien. He appeared twice. Of course there was. Of course there was. Yes. And then there was a Sue Kal at the end. That appeared 3 times. So, but there was a car called Tao. There's this little Muppet sort of pixie girl who was also gender fluid. She goes by them or she. And her space boyfriend Ghost, friend Tam. There's Tal and Tam. Another Tam, a later one. When she went to the Trill planet, because she's a Trill, she went to the Trill planet to figure out. Well, she's a human with a Trill inside her. She went to the planet and she met up with a Trill, and they opened her mind. She could see the other versions of her, and there's a 700 years ago version of her that's wearing a Picard era outfit, and he's a black guy. He looks a little like Cisco. So dressed up this here Cisco. This is Javon Tal. This is Tal's ancestor from 700 years earlier, older than Dax, and that's because they're on a generation ship and they were there for 100 years. So there's like, she's probably the same age as Dax, but they were in hibernation. And here's Tal, and he appears in some of the episodes of the series, including pilot. And he is a Trill, and he has the symbiote that will become Tal in the future. Javan Tal and Indira Tal in the future. So that's who this is supposed to be. So there he is. There he is. Oh, this guy's gonna. So at one point, she was a beefy black man. Well, that explains a few things. House explains how she might be envious. What? It is an error of logic to assume that because I happen to be of African American descent, that I would have a large member. However, the rumors are true. But I will not show that because that would be R-rated. I won't do that. No members coming out. I'm gonna go now. Ew, no members coming out. Just kidding. However, as Alexander Rashenko, son of Worf, I will whip my member out. No, I am also kidding. I will whip it out. Oh my god. The helm console. It's falling over. No. Anyway, so I probably rambled on a little too long, but not too badly. Anyway, so the Emmett Till, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of Jomny's inspiration in those 2 ships. Yep. I'll just take it over here for a second. Okay. Now here we have the Chimera. And the Trek Guards people can drool over this really, really brief shot here with the Chimera. It has slipstream drive. And it has, so does this one. They both have slipstream drive. That one does too. And it has warp engines here, dual warp engines with slipstream louvers. And it has on top mini warp engines for when the saucer separates and it goes flying off with the so it can go anywhere it wants to. It's not just impulse power, it can go warp. It has giant photon guns on the front of it, so it's a battleship of some kind. It is a Chimera. It's the Adventure class. Adventure class. Adventure. So it's Aventine. It's the Aventine, basically. Yeah. So it's the Aventine. But yeah. This is completely throwing the scale off these two on the whole. So here we have. Ooh, I farted. So here we have the Emmett Till Also a battleship. It looks like there are 3 nacelles. There aren't. This is a double one. So technically it is the rule of 3s. It has dual nacelles on either side, and it has a double up here. So when it separates, it becomes this little manta ray fish thing. Flies off. So yeah, it's the rules of 3s, but I stuck a third, like I made it an inline thing similar to this one. They're almost a similar class. They have similar construction. And I ended up building these, and then they just got bigger and bigger until, yeah, it got ridiculous. Anyway, so that's my ships here. The ships, which we'll look over later. But that's a cursory evaluation of the Emmett Till 2277A. And the Chimera 82405A. The bridge is not on the bottom. The bridge is on the top. The bridge is in here under this level. I think it's one level below the level, actually. It's armored. This one's armored up more, and the bridge is actually down on the first level, and then there's this thing above it. Storage, cargo bay kind of thing. So yeah, your impulse deck follows all the conventions of a Star Trek ship, really. Yeah, so yeah. Going around, there's impulse, lots of impulse engines. This one's over here. Boing. Yeah, 2 shuttle bays here and here, and down there. 3 shuttle bays. This one 2. Those are your shuttle bays, and down there. And I think there's one in the front too, under the deflector dish, or above the deflector dish. That's a cool idea because it's like protected. Yeah, so it'd be like if your fighter ships wanted to get away, they could just go. And also, they kind of resemble the a modern version of the Josh Braun from Starcrackers and the Zuri ship from Starcrackers. As though they were modern. That's what I was thinking of. If that had solar sails. This one didn't. They're not. They just... There's the little windows. It's kind of hard to tell the scale, but... Yeah. I think they're somewhere slightly smaller than Galaxy class, but larger than the Enterprise C, probably. That one is bigger than the Galaxy class. So yeah, somewhere around there. So I'm guessing. So they are bigger than the original Chimera, which was about the size of the classic Enterprise, or sometimes the Voyager, depending on what's going on. Because sometimes it wasn't. Yeah, it's unclear as to... Yeah, sizes didn't matter with the Abrams stuffs. Yeah. And cat. Meow. Hi, cat. And other cat. Meow. Anyway, so yeah.